I was going through my camping gear earlier today and I found something in a backpack that's been in there for 2 years, and I actually made it 3 years ago, and today I'm gonna eat it. Hardtack. I hope you've seen the video I did on hardtack back in 2012. I saved a bunch of that batch, and then about 10 months later, I did an update and I cooked some with some gravy. 2 years after that video, I have found this hardtack again. Look at that, right there. See that? There was a worm in the bag. It's dead. It's too dry in there. One little worm. That ain't no biggie. The whole idea with hardtack is that it's a real simple food that stays absolutely dry, so it keeps for decades if you can keep the worms out of it. And you can, I just didn't properly do it, but it can be done. It's a real simple recipe. It's flour, water, and salt. And you bake it until it's good and hard, and then you take it out of the pan and let it dry on the counter for a few days, and when it reaches the consistency of a brick, it's done. There's not much odor to it, but it does smell slightly nutty with a real light hint of honey. There is no honey in the recipe, that's just the smell of the freshly ground whole wheat. And I used whole wheat to get more nutrition. I'll tell you, it's gonna be a challenge to get a bite. Probably take as many calories to eat it as what you get out of it. It tastes fine. It's pretty bland. It's just a completely dry bread. That's not how you eat it, unless you just have to. I mean, if this is all you had and you were gonna die if you didn't eat it, you'd eat it. But you can make this better. It's been soaking for 3.5 hours in water, and it's still pretty tough. What I'm gonna do now is fry it with some of my homemade bacon and then steam it, like boil it. I'll add some water to the mix. Take whatever piece you like. Let's try this one. And then cover it with water. You leave this in the water for 3 or 4 or 5, 6 hours, I don't know. I've left this one for 3.5 hours and it's still hard in the middle. But I think if I fry it and boil it for a good long time, it'll get tender. Let's try it. I'm gonna cure some more in a shed and smoke it outside in the smokehouse. This has been in the freezer for over a year, and it will eventually go rancid, but I think the smoke helps preserve it some. Because I don't have a lot of fat on this meat, I'm gonna add some lard. If you didn't have bacon, you could just use lard or butter. The value in hardtack is in the fact that it's so easy to prepare and it keeps so well for so long. The downside to it is that it's a very bland food. It's hard to consume in its preserved state. So it does take some preparation. It's not like just opening a can. You can eat Spam right out of the can, right? You can open up a can of chili and just eat it cold or ambient temperature, and it's fine. This stuff is really hard to eat. You've got to do something to it to make it edible. There's nothing excellent about it. There's nothing bad about it. You know, it's not horrible in any way. It's just very bland. You're not going to feel strongly about it one way or the other. The great flavor that comes from it is in all the stuff you do with it. You can put it in soups, broths, and soak it, and then have something, you know, really nutritious to eat, just depending on what kind of grain you use. I just want to give it kind of a crusty fry on both sides. Looking pretty good. You fry anything in bacon fat, you can't lose. I love the hard, crusty outside, and you can feel it's tender on the inside, but it's gonna be crunchy, at least until I steam it. You know what might be better than this recipe is to soak it longer, maybe overnight, and then fry it. So it's soaked and tender all the way through, and then you just fry it on the outside and don't boil it. It's too late for this one because I've already started it and it wasn't soaked long enough, but you might want to try it. That's looking good. I'm gonna put the meat back in and some water, probably 45 minutes to an hour. We'll check. I'm gonna leave it on very low. It's on my smallest burner, all the way low, covered with about a ½ inch of water in it maybe. And I'll leave it there for about a ½ hour and check it, make sure not all the water's cooking out. It's kind of nice that it's firm like this, hasn't completely fallen apart, and will have some texture. Might need salt and pepper, we'll see. Before I season this, I'm going to take a little taste and see if it needs any adjustment. See, it's still kind of cakey on the inside. It's amazing how long this stuff takes to cook. We probably could have boiled this even longer. It boiled for an hour and 15 minutes. It's tender. I don't think it needs salt. We'll put some black pepper. Cameraman suggested a little Tabasco sauce. We'll try that. Let's try a good bite with some meat. Man, it probably doesn't hurt that I've been outside doing stuff, so I'm hungry. But it just never ceases to amaze me how you can take something so simple, some kind of food that is this rude, with a little knowledge, a little skill, you can make something that is mouth-wateringly delicious. This is pretty rustic food, and it's delicious. If you had to eat this for survival, you'd be eating like a king. It's rich. I guess what amazes me the most about it is that this has been in a plastic bag with a worm for 3 years. And look at it. I mean, this is good. The hot sauce was a good idea, by the way. Try that. So, do you want some of this? Do I need to save you some? Well, I better save the rest for the cameraman. But in the meantime, go to the blog, survivalnewsonline.com. I'll have more information about hardtack, and I'll put up a couple or 3 recipes for you to check out. Okay? I'll see you there.